All right, everybody, welcome back. Sam's Army Match Week 32. We got a lot to talk about. We're going to start with the Premier League, where there's trouble at the top. Villa is flying, and we got some big FPL updates to run through. Halftime will be a Champions League versus World Cup related weekly what if, and some NCAA bracket standings updates. Around the world, we got the MLS Minute with the man himself. Championship, huge week in European competitions. We got Champions League and Europa League games to talk about. And if we have time, we'll check on the championship. And then stoppage time with Ivan Toney's best bets and everyone's favorite segment, GOAWs. Now, time to welcome in this week's panel of beauties, starting with the birthday boy himself, Tommy McGunner. I feel like I've asked you this before. Do you do anything at all? You know, because your birthday here is sort of in the middle of the season. Do you do anything to celebrate, or is it just sort of, just another day?
On my actual birthday, didn't do much day before a game. After the game, I did. My sister and my cousins were in town with my girlfriend, so we all went out to dinner afterwards in DC, and then enjoyed the night out after that.
Okay, fair enough. I actually had other questions to intro the other people. I'm just going to ditch them and ask you guys, starting with Tyler Terrens, who did not travel this week, by the way, for once. He actually got to call a game in his backyard, so I don't have the normal question to ask him, how was, DC or how was Austin? Are you a birthday guy? Are you, we were doing something on a birthday, or are you more like, let's just get this over with?
My birthday has been falling since the introduction of Leagues Cup. It's been falling in that, and for whatever reason, Leagues Cup is like the busiest time of the year for me, and I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off. So no, I have not been a birthday person. Although last year was All-Star game, and I was calling that for SiriusXM in Columbus. So Shannon, my lovely fiance, surprised me with balloons and homemade cupcakes at a bar that I was at with Tony Meola, Brian Dunseth, and some of the other Sirius people, which was incredibly embarrassing, but also
I love that move I love that for her. Then I guess for you, that's a great move though. Shout out Shannon, your lovely fiance. Mitch, your turn. Mitchell Goulet, aka Overtime Mitch. Are you a birthday guy?
I am an adult man, so no.
Now, I know a lot of adult males who are birthday guys.
I believe it. Yeah, that's personally not what I'm into. I'm not going to yuck your yum, but no, I would prefer if nobody knew it was my birthday and everybody treated me like it was a normal day. This year, my cousin is having his wedding on my birthday, and I'm a groomsman. So,
but what if we want a day to celebrate Mitchell Goulet? Like, I would like a day to like.
You're taking it from us.
Oh, you flatter me. I don't think I deserve a whole day. You can acknowledge me, and
not a whole day, but like, what if we all wanted an excuse to come to New York City and drink our faces off with you? Like, why? Like, and what's wrong with that?
Absolutely nothing. I don't think I need one day of the year to tell me when to do that. You're welcome 365. But we can coordinate it. We can coordinate it around.
There's more of an impetus for the group to do it if it happens to be your birthday and we're celebrating Mitchell Goulet being alive.
I agree. Culturally, that is what we've agreed upon as a society. I think we're good to do that just about any time, and we can call it someone's birthday. So it's always someone's birthday.
Fair enough. Well, wait till you get into a serious committed relationship / marriage when you need an absolute excuse to get out of the house. Like, it needs to be somebody's birthday or somebody died or something. Like, you'll get there. You'll get there. Well, that might have been a little macabre, but listen, you need an excuse. It's got to be somebody's birthday or somebody's in town visiting. There has to be something. Otherwise, there's bedtime obligations that you need to do. Anyway, we'll get to that for you in maybe 10 years or so. For now, let's move on to the Premier League. Before we actually do that, though, a quick message from our good friends at Kick It, the all-in-one best soccer tennis set. Tyler, what's up with Kick It?
What's up with Kick It is I'm waiting for the day when you actually are able to do this read on your own and don't have to send it to me.
Nope, not doing it.
Oh boy, as you all probably know by now, Kick It is the ultimate soccer tennis game that you're going to want for the warmer months. And you can start to smell it a little bit. I'm out here in LA, it's like 85 degrees, but that's neither here nor there. Out on the East Coast and in the Midwest, it's starting to warm up just a little bit. You want to be outside, you're going to want to kick the ball around a little bit, as we've already talked about. This isn't just for the people who happen to be technically gifted like me, Mikey, Tommy, and Mitch. I'm leaving somebody out on purpose. It's for everybody. Everybody whose touch is dog shit can play this game. The ball is designed for those of you who are not technically inclined, okay? I'm telling you, this is going to be the game that you want. This offer is going to go away. And shout out to all you guys, by the way, because every time that I tell you that the offer is limited, which is very real, by the way, like we're talking with our sponsors, they're like, we're gonna stop it, we're done, and then you guys ramp up the purchase orders, and they're like, all right, we're gonna keep it going. This offer is going away soon. So make sure you use that discount code SAM25. That's going to get you a discount off the basic soccer tennis set, and you're going to love it. Have a beer in your hand while you're kicking it around with your buddies while the weather is going to be spectacular this summer. I mean, I'm just thinking about like summers in Chicago on the lakefront. Like that to me, that's like where Kickin' and I made sweet, sweet love for the first time in broad daylight, for what it's worth. Anyway, head over to kickit.net and you can get yours today.
Now, why would I ever want to do an ad read when I have somebody like you that can talk about sweet, sweet lovemaking in public with Kick It? Like,
I don't know. I feel like you've listened to me do it enough times at this point where you could like pull something out of your ass. It's just spitball.
No. That 1 week that you weren't here, you would be incorrectly assuming that.
We couldn't even get the code right or what it was even like giving you. It was a shit show. So no. Your job is safe.
I love this question from Adam F, by the way, and he's able to ask this question because he has access to the live stream, which means he signed up for the Patreon, which means he's a part of the Discord, which means that you should also do it. And Adam F says, what comes first, Sam handling the read or Spurs winning real silverware?
I think we all know the answer to that.
The answer is no.
I was going to say, yeah, actually, that's a good point. The answer is no. I'm not going to do it unless I have to. That's kind of how my motto, that's how life works for me. And I hopefully will never have to because we're so much better at it. I'd like to see
an episode where you handle the Kick It read and Tommy handles the art designs read. That's a world I want to live in.
I'll get there. Maybe we'll throw it to him this time. Just say 3D engraving. That's what you got to remember, Tommy. All right. We'll get to art designs later. First, let's get to the Premier League. So, we're down to April now, and this is when things get really exciting, right? We're at the sharp tip of the arrow, the sharp tip of the spear. This is when things are exciting. It's not. This year stinks. I don't even know what else to say. Like, the top is all but spoken for at this point. The bottom is 100% spoken for, at least 97% spoken for. There's a couple things in the middle that we got to fight for with the, European spots. Obviously, top 4/5 is up for grabs. I don't know. Is this the most? I hate to say boring, but is this kind of the most boring finish to a season that you guys can remember? Tyler, you go first.
I mean, I felt that this weekend. I was home, as you mentioned. I had a home game in Cincinnati. Like, I should have been up and at 'em watching games Saturday morning, but I just really couldn't be bothered. Maybe that's because a tree fell on my house and my priorities have sort of shifted. But I'm with you. And I'm not saying this just as a Liverpool fan who more or less has the title wrapped up, even though we stunk against Fulham. I just don't. I don't feel that same level of I don't feel it. I don't feel it. As the flowers start to bloom, you should be really, gearing up for that last day of the Premier League where you're just glued to the television and, every single game for the most part has meaning. And I just don't feel that way. So yeah, for me, at least, I mean, even in the Man City years where they run away with it, I feel like there's still some epic top 4 stuff that's going on. And to be fair, I do think that that's going to top 5 this year. I do think that's going to happen, but we're going to genuinely have to wait until the last week to be able to feel that. But yeah, I'm with you. I've felt the same way this weekend. Yeah. And
in the chat, Peaches made a good point. It's certainly not a boring finish to the season for certain teams. Specifically, she said top 6. She said Sky 6, but top 6 or Big 6. Most of their clubs are not excited because they suck, and that's a very good point. We do. Nottingham Forest fans, I'm sure, are just reveling in this. Like for the next few months, this is it doesn't get better than this. They're taking like a couple month long, victory lap, dancing on our graves, especially United and Tottenham. So that's fair point. Fair point on that one. But it's still, I think it's still true that the bottom three are already spoken for officially. Southampton's done. I think, is Leicester done quite? They're not officially.
After today, they think they're mathematically down. Yeah.
Okay, so there's two that are mathematically eliminated.
Forest qualifying for Champions League will be by far the most interesting thing for the remaining 7 games.
Yeah, it's a story of the season. Yeah. I mean, there's other things. I think that somebody could, if somebody jumps Man City and grabs the Champions League over Man City, that would be a huge talking point, which would be awesome. But yeah, it's interesting. And then you go to like specific rivalries and specific games, like the Manchester Derby this weekend. Usually that's got it's got some spice. That was the most boring, and not just the game. The game itself was terrible, but like the ambiance surrounding it, it just didn't feel like it had that, that spiciness to it. And you got Tottenham, Arsenal were 40 points behind you guys. So doesn't even feel like a thing. This weekend was officially St. Tottenham's Day this past week. And so, we suck, but I don't know, Mitch, did it feel like, I don't know, did it not feel like as exciting as jubilant as it should be?
I had very little jubilance this weekend. I think a lot of the reason years past that title races and this business end of the season has felt so gripping to a fan is because results happen that kind of challenge other results later in the weekend. So, for example, Arsenal dropping points this weekend made that Liverpool loss, I didn't feel anything because they also dropped points. In years past, and I'm entirely speculating right now, but in years past, it felt like, okay, if we picked up points, I was looking forward to the leader to drop points. If we dropped points, somebody below us picked up points that was hot on our ass. I mean, Newcastle today did, but it doesn't feel like there's stakes at stake because top four for us personally is pretty much a lock right now. Champions League is pretty much a lock. And the only remaining storyline that people are fighting for are Champions League spots in that top five. So, yeah, I don't think there's high-level storylines at stake right now.
This podcast specifically with the teams that we support,
right?
There's not a lot for any of us to really cheer for right now. Like Arsenal's fine, Liverpool's going to win the league, Spurs suck eternally. But if I'm a Chelsea, Forest, Villa, Newcastle, City fan, my asshole is clenched for the remaining 7 weeks of the season.
Yeah. And that is going to be the talking point. So it's City falling out / who's going to get those Champions League spots. And then just sort of everybody celebrating Nottingham Forest, especially Nottingham Forest fans. Shout out Peaches. Also, by the way, I do think that the Europa and Europa Conference League spots are important to certain clubs. Like in our Ivory Towers, it sort of seems like a terrible thing. But a team like Bournemouth or Brighton or Fulham.
Who's Ivory Towers? You say ours?
Yeah, I said ours. It still feels that way. I still look down on it like, oh shit, we didn't get Champions League. Now, whether I should be looking at it that way, that's a different conversation.
You wouldn't get into the next tournament that UEFA is going to come up with out of thin air.
We're still in the battle for Champions League. It's just not through domestic league. Okay, we'll get there. Let's get to the games themselves. Anything stand out from this weekend? I mean, there was the Manchester Derby. We had Arsenal drawing at Everton. We had Spurs beating Southampton. Palace, by the way.
Right. Let's talk about that game.
Palace flying at the moment. Mitch, so you go with the Palace Brighton?
Yeah, you want to talk about fun rivalries. That was the funnest game of the weekend and the one that felt most like a rivalry because it was. 3 red cards in that game, if I'm not mistaken. That shit was fun. That shit felt like an end of the season battle. And props to Palace for doing what they do, down to 9 men at one point and coming back to win. That was a fun one.
Talk about doing what they do. It's doing what they do is sucking in the first half of the season and coming on very strong in the second half. That's what they do.
I posed this question mostly out of ignorance in our small group chat. Why don't I hear Jean-Philippe Mateta's name more in transfer talks? And Mikey mentioned to a good point that he's pretty one-dimensional. But I still feel like he's a productive striker.
Arsenal would sign up for him in a heartbeat.
That's what I mean. I feel like he could serve a bigger club than Palace right now. I don't know. I saw a really high level finish from him on that first Palace goal, and I can't point to a ton of other strikers in the world right now that are capable of doing that in the Prem.
Well, think about it this way. JP Mateta only started actually making the starting 11 on a regular basis like a month and a half ago. For the first 3 months of the season, Eddie Nketiah was the number one choice starter in that role for Crystal Palace.
Yeah,
and they were dog shit when that was going.
It up. Yeah, he was one of the red cards this weekend. Subbed on and then got himself sent off.
Yeah. Not just a red card. Yeah, he got subbed on in JP Mateta. He got subbed on in the 68th, got a yellow card in the 69th, and then a second yellow card in the 78th.
Woof.
Hi, goodbye, see ya.
And not for nothing, but Mateta was one of the huge reasons why Palace finished the way that they did last year. And I don't understand what the thinking was behind it. Maybe this was a sporting director bullying Oliver Glasner into starting Nketiah, being like, we paid this money for this guy, you're gonna start him so we could potentially flip him. But if he was starting all along, I can only imagine where Palace would be right now, and maybe it would be Palace 4 and Nottingham Forest 3 in the table right now.
might be a little strong, but I like where your head's at on that. Yes, great game between Crystal Palace and Brighton. By the way, Brighton is doing the opposite of Crystal Palace. They're not so hot at the moment. Any other games, Tommy, you want to call out from the weekend?
Yeah, Fulham Liverpool. I thought Fulham rebounded well from their FA Cup loss, and then their loss at Arsenal, and then Jamie Carragher did a pretty interesting bit on Monday Night Football about what Fulham did to Liverpool, specifically their right side of the field, with Salah typically not defending outside of his own final third, and then Gravenberch doing a shit ton of running with Konate to cover who would usually be an exposed right back, and then you have a right back who's not really a right back in that role, and how they took advantage of that, and they got a goal from it, and they created the corner that they scored from that same moment. So if you have 2 to 3 minutes trying to recap the weekend, it's on Twitter. I would highly recommend watching that. And it was, I think, a quick synopsis of what Fulham did really well in that game, specifically around Anthony Robinson and Iwobi.
Not for nothing, and I could be totally misguided on this, I would have rather seen Endo at the right back position than Curtis Jones.
I get his thinking behind it. It's the most like-for-like person who can play inside in midfield and be this progressive passer that they want. And I think he thought of it from an attacking standpoint than a defensive one.
But it's not like Endo. But it's not like Endo is a slag.
No, and he can obviously play in midfield. I bet it was I wouldn't be surprised if those were the two guys that they sat in the coach's office for 2 hours debating who are we going to play it right now. Because that was
so the other thing. Well, the other thing I want to talk about from that game, and this is sort of a bigger talking point, Virgil van Dijk. So the last couple weeks, there's been all this talk, when are they going to re-sign him? Are they going to re-sign him and all this? The last couple weeks, I have seen more sort of egregious mistakes from Van Dijk than I can remember seeing perhaps over... I know you're going to shake your head, Tyler. I'm not...
It happened...
Are you...
No, it happened a couple years ago. It happened a couple years ago when they didn't qualify for Champions League. We had the same exact conversation. We sat here and we did the same thing. But it was the first time that we had ever seen mistakes like that from Virgil van Dijk. This was the year where they had all the injuries, they stunk it up, and we didn't qualify for Champions League, and we were in Europa League. It was the same exact thing where he was a mess and we couldn't sort it out. Same thing.
So you're not concerned about this being sort of a longer term problem and sort of decline in age and all that stuff.
The whole vibe of the group was off on the day. No, because nobody was talking about this until a loss to Newcastle and a loss to PSG. The talk was Virgil van Dijk still hasn't. Why the fuck hasn't the front office re-signed him yet? Yeah, I'm not changing my tune because of 3 games towards the end of a
Fair.
season and what's been an emotional roller coaster. And yeah, maybe like, and I've been banging on the drum that like Liverpool fans and like shouldn't be concerned about the fact that the contract negotiations are going on in the middle of this run, in the middle of everything, and like maybe it is catching up with everybody mentally, and the fact that like if we're feeling as fans like there's nothing really to play for right now, and like, you know, Liverpool get the win taken out of their sails for 2 different competitions and get knocked out in a round of 16 and knocked out in a final, then like I can only imagine what they're feeling. So no, not concerned.
The day-to-day pressure these guys live under when you're competing at that level in those competitions and you're the captain, I think it's pretty expected that they haven't had a letdown or a slump all year. And the first slump they have really is when everything's been wrapped up in the league and they get knocked out of 2 competitions, one in a final, one in a quarterfinal that felt like a final. Like I think that's partly expected for all of them. But I think the interesting thing about, I think more so Van Dijk's than Salah, but I'm sure they're going through both of them on this, is justifying paying whatever they want and not getting that 50 to 60 game return at that level. And I think that's like, okay, if you have to, like, you might get them for 30 to 35 games at a high level, whether they're not playing the other ones or they're just recovering, let's say. How do you justify paying them at that price and then needing someone to fill in the gap that I don't think they have in both of those positions?
But neither Salah or Verge have proven that they're only going to play 40 or 45, even 40 or 45 next season. Like that hasn't been the case this year.
And that's exactly where I think disconnect is. Like the
Do you think they should be playing less right now?
No. So I think what they're doing is they're like, just look at the history. We've played in 50 to 60 games every year at the highest level. Why should our wages drop? Like, we're worth all that money, and they have every right to say all of that. I would be doing the same thing if I was a million times better and a million times richer than I currently am. But then I'm sure Liverpool, like you see them, they have all these models and forecasting performance on a team and individual level. I'm sure they're using all like historic data for people around that age and the natural decline, being like, well, we can't do that for both of you, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But they're just, and as players, they're like, well, this is my case, and I have performed at the highest level consistently. Like, I deserve that. And so it's just like they're both arguing kind of their same point over and over again. I that's personally what I think is going on.
One last thing on Virgil van Dijk, not contract related. As Peach has pointed out, is it time to talk about, you know, the fact that he seems to get away with some things with the elbows and the tackles and I mean, like, listen, I've been a big Van Dijk fan, and I still am. I think he's an incredible player. But he does seem to get they give him a little more leeway on certain things. Like, I can't believe he didn't get a red card on that elbow.
What about Tarkovsky? And what about the Curtis Jones bullshit? And what about the offsides delivery? Like, and every missed call that's happened in the Premier League. Like, it's not every game. Like, the referees aren't going into it being like, let's give Virgil a pass today. Like, that's not what's going on.
I think he commands certain respect.
I think he does, and I think that he gets a little away with a little more than other players.
I think that's a veteran whistle, though. You see that in absolutely every sport. If you play in the league for X number of years, Verge has been doing this at the top of his game for the better part of a decade. You are allowed a modicum of respect when it comes to a referee's whistle like that, and that shows itself in different scenarios, like a yellow as opposed to a red for an elbow like that. I don't know. I think he has kind of cut his teeth, and referees are slower to give him a red than they would be a second or third year player. I think that's pretty common and accepted amongst players, but I understand why we bring it up now.
Fair enough. I mean, I agree that Tarkovsky, I can't believe that they didn't give Tarkowski a red card. Like, I just cannot believe they went to
They're
VAR.
also, but this is also the larger issue, and we can have this conversation until we're blue in the face. It happened in the Inter Miami LAFC CONCACAF Champions Cup game of a blatant shot to the face that was not called. Referees are not refereeing the game as they see fit anymore. They're re-refereeing the game based upon the impetus of VAR. That's it, and it's happening at every single level. Like, and I think that if we didn't live in an era of VAR, Virgil van Dijk might have a few more penalties. Like, I don't think, that respect thing. It's not like LeBron getting an extra step in the NBA. I don't think it's that egregious of the level of respect that Virg gets from referees. I just think that there's just really bad fucking calls all over the world because VAR has ruined refereeing. That's what I think. I don't think that it's as much as...
I don't necessarily disagree with you on that. All right, let's move on. Quickly, we're talking about sort of things being wrapped up and perhaps levels dropping and sort of, motivations and all that. I think it's notable that the top 5 teams in the table coming into this weekend's matches, all 5 of them, 0 wins. Liverpool, Arsenal, Nottingham Forest, Chelsea, and Man City, 0 wins. Just an interesting observation. Okay, FPL. So, interesting week. And we this really comes down to just the last minute here, because I went into the Cup, the Sam's Army podcast Cup competition is ongoing right now. And I'll get to that and why that matters in just a minute. For the moment, though, in the Council of Elders this week, not a great week. Nobody went really high. The games haven't been updated, so the results haven't been updated. I don't know where everybody's at. I had a huge day today. Jacob Murphy, wow, that guy, he scored like half the points I scored on the week. He scored today. And because of that, I came into the Cup competition in the Sam's Army podcast, League Cup is what they're calling it. I came into the day down 19. Yes, I'd scored 19 points so far on the week, and I only had Jacob Murphy and Trippier going today. Whereas Coach Hugh Jabals, Kyle Wood, had 33 points on the day. And so he was up 14 points coming into the day. I may have caught him today. I'm not sure. I'm sort of waiting to see what happens. I think it's going to come down to the bonus points. I assume that Jacob Murphy probably has to get some bonus points there. And if he does,
all 3.
What's that?
He'll get all 3.
Right, exactly. And so if he does, I'm going to win. I'm going to come back. So Mark Gahey, by the way, that red card, the second red card of the Palace, that hurt me. He scored negative points on the week. I think I came all the way back and beat Hugh Jabals. So shout out Kyle Wood. I can't believe, if you're paying attention, I apologize. I did not deserve to win this week. Now, to the podcast league itself, on the Council of Elders, we are, let's see, the Gunners. So again, it hasn't been updated for the Newcastle game, so I apologize for that. But McGunners is in first after the Saturday and Sunday games, followed by Fat Ange, Mikey Fowler, who keeps changing his name. Now he's going with Fat Ange. I'm in third. Then at the bottom, we got Isak at FPL and FCTT. You guys are 8 points apart. It's really going to come down to it here at the end. So we do have something to play for in the podcast anyway. Quick shout out to the people who are on the top of the league itself. We got Magnets. Patrick Kelly is in first. He's up, 19 points. So, still plenty to play for there. Cunnerlingus, Rob Carey in second. Major League Soccer, the real one. Fraser Connor in third. No Hair, No Mo. Christopher Frost in fourth. And Cavs, Kyle Murphy is in fifth. So the podcast league is going on right now. The Cup competition, as I said, I came back and apparently may have won. The Cup competition is going. We're actually starting a Discord-only Cup competition. So if anybody wants to get in this Discord Cup competition, jump in the Patreon, $3.99 a month. cost of a cup of coffee. We get, and this is just sort of a side benefit, like the 24/7 footy chat that goes on in the Discord. I had no idea. This won't surprise you. I had no idea what a Discord was up until we started this thing. It's awesome. It's like having just a whole bunch of soccer obsessed friends. Somebody's always in there, even at like 3 a.m. sometimes when I'm talking about my A-League overs. Somebody's always in there ready to talk soccer. It's the best thing in the world. Okay. Are we done? Did I forget anything on the FPL front there?
This is the first I'm hearing of a cup competition, and apparently I've won 3 weeks straight. So
it's you got to like toggle over. It's kind of a hidden. Little...
I am just like we're live seeing my reaction to me winning 3 weeks straight. I'm now on to the round of 256.
Where do you find this?
So when you open up the app, if you scroll down from the the top where it's got points and do all your stuff, if you scroll down, leagues and cups, and then you have to toggle over because normally it's on leagues. You got to toggle over to the cups, and see where you're. I can't actually see how you guys are doing. Are you, Tyler? Do you know if you're still alive in that?
I have no idea, nor I am strictly focused on whether or not I'm going to be doing a TikTok dance. I need to regroup. I got to hit the reset button. I might have to hire some thieves to take my team's keys, phones, and wallet at dinner. Like we're in trouble right now. We're in serious trouble.
I won.
There we go. All right, we're perhaps all still alive. I don't know about Tyler, and I don't know about Mikey. And I can't believe I'm still alive. All right, we will move on to quickly the weekend preview. So as I said, like there's not a lot of juice here for the rest of the time here. I will say the talking points, we didn't even give Aston Villa really their flowers. So this week was a big one we said coming in for both Forest and Villa. Forest did get a win in the midweek, I believe, but then Villa won both midweek and the weekend game being over Nottingham Forest. Aston Villa, and we're going to get to them more in the Champions League section in just a little bit here. They are playing some good soccer at the right time of the season, and they're going to come up against a PSG team in Champions League. That could be interesting. But for the preview here, for our purposes, let's see. We got United hosting Newcastle. This being important because Newcastle is definitely alive to grab that, fifth slot, which perhaps could be kicking City out of the Champions League slot. Manchester City, who somebody in the Discord chat mentioned, has one of the easiest run-ins, along with Forest coming down the stretch. Not such an easy game this weekend. They play Crystal Palace, who we've talked about is red hot, and Liverpool, West Ham. And I wrote that down mostly just to see if Tyler was going to get mad at me. He's sworn that off at this point. I mean, like if you guys lose this one and Arsenal win, that's 6 point. It's a 6 point gap. Okay. I'm nervous. All right. I'm just wondering. I'm just pointing it out there.
There's two big ifs there. Like Mitch already talked about, like this is not a season in which somebody's rattling off even 4 wins in a row. Everybody stinks. Everybody stinks.
Yeah, it's really bold of you to assume that we have the upper hand against Brentford. We started Raheem Sterling this week,
and we're not losing to West Ham.
Fair, and also, by the way, Liverpool is not doing anything in midweek. They can chill, whereas Arsenal has some big games in.
Do we?
I don't know if you guys heard Real Madrid. It's gonna be a tough one.
They lost this weekend. Yeah.
What's that?
They lost this weekend. I'm not scared of them.
They did. They're saving all their strength for you guys this week. So just pointed those out. We don't need to even go into them at this point. We'll move on. We'll head to halftime, where we're going to start with a quick word from our friends at Arc Designs. Tommy, are you ready?
I'll give it a shot. Sure.
Yeah, there we go.
All
Hit
right.
us with Arc Designs.
All right. Arc Designs, Cincinnati-based company, specialize in
Loveland
cup holders, whatever you want to call it, coasters, maybe some wall things that you hang up for all your special stadiums there. If you really want to know what the discount code is, just message Sam or Tyler. I think Arc Designs 25 or maybe Arc Designs 30.
Sam 25. Sam 25.
There we go. Yeah, they've got some good shit, and they're good people.
There you go. That's pretty good. 3D
They're gonna
engraving.
cancel their contract with us if we got the Make-A-Wish kid reading ad reads.
You know what? Out of all the things,
Call in the lefty.
out of all the things that was the most disappointing, I think was the fact that he missed the one thing that's the most important, which is the discount.
Hey, but
It
now
was the easiest part too.
But now I'm gonna remember what the discount code is, and so are other people. When you read it so well, people just like gloss over it.
It's true.
Yeah.
No, but it means you're not listening. It's like you tuned out during MLS Hit-It-N-Quit-It Minute. Like, I know you're not listening to anything that I say.
That's usually my piss break. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I understand that. But what I'm saying, but also like Boomer Zoomer Tommy's in full effect there, because the fact that you think that a discount code could be Arc Designs 25, it's too big. Have you ever seen the discount code? Like the feature on any sort of online shopping thing, it's like 4 characters.
Oh, I love that. That was good. That was actually, other than the code, that was pretty good. Did he forget anything, Tyler Terrence?
No, well, I mean, he forgot the code, but no, he didn't.
Arc Designs, by the way, ARCK designs.com. Best 3D engraving stuff out there. Go check them out. All right, we will head to halftime where we start with Weekly What If. So shout out to the Discord for some suggestions. I asked them, and we got one from somebody. It was Terrens_69 said, if you could go to the next 3 Champions League finals or the next World Cup final, which would it be? Which would you choose? So, not Terrens_69, Tyler. What would be your choice on this question? Weekly.
This is a phenomenal weekly what if. Whoever came up with it is, I don't want to say genius, but pretty darn close. Probably also really handsome. Probably also has the cutest dog known to mankind. I posed this question. I still don't exactly know what my answer would be. I lean towards obviously this was me who posed this. I was leaning between 2 or 3 in Champions League, because I feel like 2, and the answer is blatantly obvious. Like, you go to the World Cup final. But 3 means you also get to go to 3 different European cities.
Yeah.
And like, odds are the next 3 different Champions League, like Liverpool's probably going to be in one of them too. So that for me plays a factor as well. I think it's Champions League, although an opportunity to go to a World Cup final in the United States at MetLife, and to see an important game at MetLife that's not a Jets game, which is an oxymoron in itself. But, yeah.
So would you prefer to go to a World Cup final in the U.S. or in another country? I almost would prefer to go to another country. When I posed the question, I was also concerned that you guys were going to be like, well, it's at MetLife. Like, that's not a cool place to go anyway. Like, if it was South Africa, like, that would be incredible. Yeah. I still think it would be amazing to go to a World Cup final in any country, regardless of where it is. For sure. The next 3, by the way, to shout out to Tommy in the chat, whoever that is. The next 3 Champions League finals are in Munich, Budapest, and Milan. See, that's epic. That's a cool line. I mean, first of all, when's the last time a Champions League final was in a bad city? I mean, Jared, was it in Azerbaijan a couple years ago? No. That was the Europa. That was the Europa final. Second tier cities for a second tier competition.
Arsenal and Chelsea were in that.
Yeah, because didn't you guys have a player that couldn't go? Armenian.
It could have been Mkhitaryan.
Mkhitaryan's the only Armenian player. Yeah,
I'm pretty sure that he couldn't go to that. Anyway, I think I would go to the. Oh man, that is a tough question. I like your question. The fact you didn't have an answer for it means it's a good question. I gotta lean World Cup final. It's just such a big event that's more worldwide, and everybody wants to go. And if it was not in the U.S., I would be even more firm World Cup final.
And you get to go see a Zulan concert at halftime too.
which that might just tip it over the edge for me. That would be incredible. So I'm going to go World Cup. Tyler goes Champions League. Mitch, which one do you go?
I'm offended I haven't been asked about that, by the way, but whatever. I think I'm going to the next 3 Champions League finals. I feel like if you pose this question to Mikey, he would go to 1 Champions League final over 1 World Cup final.
100%.
He'd go to 1 Champions League over 4 World Cup finals.
He'd go to a Europa League group stage game.
Zero fucks about international soccer.
I would love to go to 3 different cities. You're kind of playing your chips and giving yourself a better chance of seeing your team. I do not believe that my team is going to be in a World Cup final in the near future. But there's a possibility that we could be in a Champions League final in the next 3 years. So, yeah.
All right. I'll let it slide. Tommy, which one are you going?
No. Okay, no, there's no letting it slide. We're in the Champions League. We're playing Real Madrid tomorrow.
For another week.
You are where right now?
We're closer to winning a European trophy than you guys are.
Okay, but that's not what we're talking about.
Is that true?
It is. It is a fact.
No, you're at the same exact junction of the competition.
Yes, but then if you include our odds, our odds of success are much better.
That doesn't mean
closer.
Closer to do it. No.
Closer.
No,
I disagree with that.
No, that's not how that works.
That's math for you.
Just flip this, and when Arsenal make it to the semis, and they lose to whoever the fuck they're playing.
Sam's takes this year have been like biblically bad.
But he's able to slip them in because we kind of feel bad for him that he's all the way down in like 14th right now. So we usually just like, whatever. He's up.
What was the most egregious one that Spurs were going to finish ahead of Forest?
Forest, yeah. Well, listen, on that one you caught me at a weak moment. I was several adult beverages later.
Tell it to the judge. You caught me at a weak moment. What the fuck does that mean?
It was like Christmas Eve. It was a weak moment. I was feeling emotional.
You were just feeling alone, like slugging eggnog by yourself, just miserable on Christmas Eve. Like why does Christmas Eve have anything to do with it?
Well, yeah. Wait till you become, married with kids and you got to like sit around the house watching, these kids run and yell and scream and break things. You'll know how much eggnog and whatever else you're drinking. We'll talk about that. We'll get there. You'll get there soon. All right. Listen, I'm going to nix all that conversation. Go to Tommy. Champions League 3 times finals or World Cup final once.
So I'm going Champions League finals for a couple reasons. I think the history of those cities and like actually going to those cities is way cooler than sitting on I-95 and looking at the Izod Center and then turning left into MetLife's parking lots. That's a disaster. And then within the World Cup, I think one of my favorite things about the World Cup is the group stages, and you're seeing all these countries come together. Like that is the special moment for me. Maybe that's because the country that I follow hasn't necessarily made it super deep into the tournament, but those first 10 days is when I catch like the fever dream or whatever you want to call it. Whereas the singular moment of a Champions League final in those historic cities where maybe like, hey, let's say it's Istanbul and you have all the memories of Istanbul finals and you're kind of walking through time in those, I think is a lot cooler. If the final was in the Azteca or Rio de Janeiro or Wembley, like that's a different answer for me maybe. But showing up to MetLife and saying, hey, I'm going to walk through history. Nope, not it.
Well, Tommy, let me change it just for you. If I let you go see 2 group stage games from each group at the next World Cup, comparatively to 3 Champions League finals.
2 group stage games of each group. Yeah, I'm doing that for sure.
1 group stage game from each group.
Compared to 3 Champions League finals?
Yeah.
So that's how many groups are there again? Is it 8 or with the 48? Yeah, now
48. Yeah,
I don't know.
12?
I don't even know if you could make one from each group.
So whatever that ski thing is now.
Yeah, it's the Izod. No, it's the
What is that ski thing?
I know what you're talking. I obviously know what it is.
It's like the mall or whatever.
It's not the Mall of America. That's
No. Whatever that thing is, the combination of those two are hideous. I think at that moment, given the next World Cup, I think I might still go Champions League. But that's the tougher question for me.
Okay. So one groups. All right. So I caught you.
Yeah,
Caught you in the middle there.
that's the good one.
All right. Good call on the question. T-Terrans_69. Now, let's see. Quickly, got to check the NCAA bracket pool where things were looking ugly for me before, and they still are looking ugly because I had Auburn winning it. So now my only hope to get out of the cellar was basically that. And I will not be getting out of the cellar. 58th. I'm ranked 58th, and all my teams are out, I believe. So shout out to Matt Wolf, who is still in first place and has Houston winning it. So Matt is in a very good spot. Second place, P. God Bout, 17. Am I missing something there? P. God Bout. I don't know. But you are in second place with Florida winning it. So one of you two, I believe, are basically locked in at this point. No, we have another one. Oh, wait, do you Condon is actually tied with P. God Bout 17. You guys are both in second place right now, and you both have Florida winning it. So I don't know what the tiebreaker. I guess the tiebreaker is points scored in the final, and so I don't know how that will go. But so the Matt Wolf is going to win it if Houston wins, and P. God Bout 17 / wait, do you have a Condon is going to win if Florida wins. So shout out to you guys. By the way, Adam 21115 is tied for second, but he has Duke. Oof, what a turnaround for Adam. What a choke job, by the way. My God, that was amazing to watch as a Duke hater. But yeah, too bad. Matt Frentz still is in fifth with Florida winning it, but he is 10 points behind P. God Bout and wait, do you have a Condon? All right. So well done, boys. And or girls, whoever.
I've seen Mitch hit that turnaround, by the way, and pick up. Just saying.
Should have hit it. Coulda, shoulda, woulda, though.
Back out there.
God, I was giddy watching that. I didn't find out Duke won until the next day, and I still didn't believe it. All right, we're heading to Round the World. I was out to dinner. It was a long night. Anyway, Round the World. We are going to start with the MLS Hit-It-and-Quit-It Minute with the Minute Man himself, Tyler Terrans. Give us what you got, big man.
All right, match day 7 in Major League Soccer. Yes, it's already match day 7. Feels like the season started just mere days ago. But here we are. April 5th is the day we're going to start this match day number 7. And let's go to the Queen City. That's Charlotte, the original Queen City. 2-1 is the final score over BJ Callahan's Nashville. 2 goals in the final 5 minutes of the game, and Charlotte pick up a big 3 points. All right, let's head over to Real Salt Lake, where they take down an LA Galaxy team that is struggling with the best of them right now. 2-0 is the final score. Diego Luna at the brace. What a month this kid is having. And the LA Galaxy, I don't want to say it, but I'm just going to say it. I had them missing out on the playoffs this year because you don't have zero cap space. Get rid of all your best players. Have your best player injured with his ACL injury and come away from it a playoff team. It just doesn't happen. All right, let's go to Harrison, New Jersey. Red Bulls 2-1 winners over the Chicago Fire. That's a tough look for the Fire, coming off of a couple of big wins on the road, including beating Vancouver, and then you draw Montreal at home, and then you go to the road against Red Bulls, and you lose by a score of 2-1. Red Bulls is always a place that they've struggled, and they struggle on the day as well. All right, let's head over to the west end of Cincinnati, where FC Cincinnati were missing Miles Robinson, Yuya Kubo, Obina Wobodo, and Evander, and still somehow came away victors by a score 1-0 because the New England Revolution are not a very good soccer team. FC Cincinnati plus 3 points. Philadelphia and Orlando City on the banks of the Delaware River, and it's a 0-0 draw between Bradley Carnell and Oscar Pareja's side. I did not see no goals in that game. If you bet the over and your name is Sam, then you're not a happy camper after this one. Columbus, lower.com field, just 90 minutes north of FC Cincinnati, who picked up 3 points, and the Crew picked up 3 points by a score of 2-1 against CF Montreal, who are currently coachless and currently directionless at the moment, but that's not a surprise for that club. Atlanta United 1, FC Dallas 1 at the Benz, and the roof was open at Mercedes-Benz Stadium as well, which I have never taken part in that. It seems really cool. I hope to see it one day, sort of like Mount Rushmore. Final score is 1-1. Miguel Amarone from the penalty spot. Lucho Acosta and company. They're doing some things this year. And Lucho just happens to be a very good soccer player that's now just playing for a Western Conference team. Austin FC 0, Portland 0. I don't really know what to say about that game, so we're just going to move on. Sporting Kansas City and St. Louis City. That rivalry, which again, I still don't know exactly what we're calling that. Sporting Kansas City finally get a win. Their first win since mid-September of 2024. Sporting Kansas City 2, St. Louis City 0. And Olaf Melberg, shall we say he's on the hot seat 7 weeks in to his? Who could have seen this coming? Just wildly firing your head coach in the middle of the season, getting rid of a bunch of players who brought you a Western Conference title in your first year. And Lutz Pfannenstiel is just running around with his chicken with a head cut off and basically has no idea what's going on at the moment. St. Louis, struggle, bust, and then some. Let's head to Texas, where the Houston Dynamo and LAFC got off to a late start because of some weather, but Houston somehow pulled out the win by a score of 1-0. But LAFC, mind you, are in the middle of CONCACAF Champions Cup. Nathan Ordaz with the lone goal in that game against Inter Miami. Second leg is going to be happening this week, Wednesday night, I believe, between LAFC and Inter Miami. That game is going to be in South Florida, not Miami, because they play in Fort Lauderdale, because that's just how that goes. Let's go north of the borders to the Vancouver Whitecaps, who, for my money, not just because they're top of the Western Conference table right now, they flat out might just be the best team in Major League Soccer right now. Who'd have thunk it? 2-0 winners over the Colorado Rapids at BC Place. All right, let's head a little bit south to San Diego in Southern California, where San Diego FC scored 3 goals in a matter of minutes, and they beat the Seattle Sounders by a score of 3-0. Brian Schmetzer's side riding the struggle bus as well. They got loads of injuries, and a group that looked really, really promising in the first 2 or 3 weeks of the season now look like a side that might miss out on the playoffs altogether. Let's head to Sunday. Let's go to the Big Apple in Yankee Stadium. Tani Oluwaseyi and company come away with a 2-1 win. Big 3 points for the Loons. Let's go over across the country to Northern California, where Bruce Arena and the San Jose Earthquakes, in a 30-year anniversary of the first ever game in Major League Soccer, Joseph Martinez and company put up a touchdown against Troy Lesesne's side. 6-1 is the final score. Tommy McCabe watched every single minute of that game. Why? Because he's a genuine sicko for this sport, and we love him for it. Inter Miami won. Toronto FC won in Sunday Night Soccer. Federico Bernardeschi thought he lost his footing, scored what ended up looking like a ridiculous goal. Some really quick feet from the Italian. And then Lionel Messi and company were able to grind one back out. 1-1 is the final score. Disappointing for Miami, but bigger fish to fry in the quarterfinals of CONCACAF Champions Cup against LAFC this week. And that would do it for match day number 7.
Well done. Well done as always. I feel very satisfied. Tommy is now drained his bladder, so we can now move on to the massive midweek that we're looking at. Not just this one, but the next one after it. So we're at the Champions League / Europa League / Europa Conference League quarterfinal stage. So these are home and homes. Obviously, the Champions League, rightly so, will sort of attract most of the eyeballs and the attention, and it's the sexy league and everything. It's the Europa League that arguably has more at stake for certain clubs. Manchester United and Tottenham's entire season rests on winning that competition, not like going far and getting some moral victories. We're past that. Both those clubs have to win the competition, otherwise their season is a complete and utter catastrophe. But we're going to start in Champions League. So Champions League, the matchups we got right now in the quarterfinals, we have Bayern hosting Inter and Arsenal hosting Real Madrid on Tuesday. And then on Wednesday, we have Barcelona hosting Dortmund and PSG hosting the red-hot Aston Villa. So, Tommy, which of the 4? I guess you're probably not.
Actually, I'll have a different answer. Than
Okay. Which most intrigued by?
I will say the nostalgia of Arsenal Madrid is hitting home. And as a kid, when Arsenal went on that final or run to the final, every afternoon my dad would write me a doctor's note to see Dr. Wenger for last period. And so that's like my childhood memory about Arsenal was that season and those doctor notes, and then going home and watch it together with my dad. That was awesome. But I'm actually really interested in a Bayern Inter. I think that's going to be a really good one. Bayern's, I think, very good in possession, very good at high pressing, and I think that's the core of what they're good at, and how they do that against like the free-flowing Inter Milan back 3 with midfielders. It could just be a man-to-man fest all over the field when Bayern's defending, and that can either be a lot of fun or you might just want to flip to the other game after 20 minutes. So
Fair enough. Okay, good shout. And you didn't go with Arsenal Real Madrid, which I think maybe Mitch, is that what what do you think about that game? I'll just put you on the spot.
Yeah, we might as well talk about that one. Is an interesting way that you posed this, that Europa means more to the clubs. I don't know where you got that. Real Madrid are currently in second in La Liga. They're in a title race with Barcelona. They're 4 points back. And if Real Madrid don't win the Champions League, what is that for their season?
Yeah.
I'm kind of putting that out into the universe.
It's important to everybody, you know.
I just like giving you shit.
A little bias.
No, I am cautiously optimistic going into this tie. I do realize that it is Real Madrid in the Champions League. This is some of the weakest that Real Madrid has looked in the last, 5 years or so. It's the most vulnerable that they've been, but I don't think we are in a position as a club to go take points from them, which sucks. I think the only feasible way for us to make it through this tie is if we button down the hatch at home, concede absolutely nothing, maybe score off a set piece, and then take a 1-0 lead into the Bernabeu and pray. I don't know. I just don't see us coming out of this one. But hopefully I can get some of your reverse jinx magic and manifest that into tomorrow. It'll be a fun one regardless.
There you go. Talk to Mikey. He's the reverse jinx guru. Yeah, I mean, I'm interested in both. Well, I'm interested in all four of these games. I am rooting hard for Real Madrid. But every time I do this and I'm like, there's just no way Arsenal can win this, I'm not going to go out on a limb. I'm not going to put my neck out there because, listen, every time I say that.
Are we reading into either of the teams' performances this weekend? Arsenal's draw or Madrid's loss? No.
Not really.
So we kind of agree that that's separate than the squad and the mentality that both teams will bring to the Champions League tomorrow.
For sure. I mean, I don't know who Real Madrid sat, but I know you guys were resting guys.
They had, I mean, if you play for Real Madrid, you're not a scrub, but they had pretty close to their starting 11 out there. Credit to the opposition. Who did they lose to? Sociedad?
Valencia,
thank you. Credit to Valencia for what they did in that game. I had it on in the background. But with the news coming out this week that their fines will not affect who can play for Madrid, that hurts us. That hurts us. The books, for some reason, still have us as the favorites against Madrid at home, but I don't see that at all.
They've got some injuries, I think that's why.
Do they? That could change things. I was just going to look and see who's on their injured list at the moment. So right now they are missing
Lunin, Carvajal, Militao,
Mendy,
Tchouaméni, and Ceballos.
Whose back line is going to be more makeshift?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gabriel's out, Calafiori's out.
They have a shit ton of guys on yellows. I think Vinicius is 1 yellow away.
Well, so the one thing that Mikey mentioned a couple weeks back or a week ago is just how open Madrid play. And if there's any hope to us taking anything from this game, it's because of that. It's because we are able to overcrowd them. That like you said, that makeshift back four that they're going to have. I think they have Valverde potentially playing at right back.
Yeah, but he's been incredible at right back. To be
he's
fair.
A great player. He's a phenomenal footballer. I think you could put him anywhere you could put him in between the pipes and he would be great. I think the amount of space that Real Madrid plays with favors them attacking and favors us defensively.
Yeah, I think it's just it's too bad that you guys don't have Gabriel, because if you had those center back duo to sort of lean on, it would just be a different matchup. It stinks that you guys don't have that.
I've already seen a campaign across multiple platforms trying to hype up Jakub Kiwior and give him the confidence needed to go forth and play against Real Madrid in the Champions League. And I've seen him interact with some of this as well. We are not coming at this from a defeatist standpoint. We are trying to gear up our players to go get a result, which I like.
You think he starts, not Ben White?
If Ben White's healthy,
or Calafiori.
What's your back? Yeah, Calafiori's coming back from a knock as well. What's your back four ideally?
Like with everyone healthy or current
No.
state?
Given who's healthy right now.
Skelly, Timber, White, Saliba. That's what I would go with. I think to your point, when you think of Madrid and like Champions League, especially away from home or just like knockouts, they can sit there and absorb pressure.
Yeah.
And then just hit you on the counter, especially
Right.
this year. And it's just like lightning fast.
Yeah.
That I would go for the guys that I trust more in open space.
Mm.
Same with City last year. Arsenal played Bayern last year. Same thing. Like as much as Arsenal can dominate the game, it's just teams like Bayern or Madrid just need like 2 to 3 moments, and you're losing or you're tied when you should be winning.
Yep.
All right, so those are the Tuesday games. Wednesday, the fact that Dortmund just keep winning the Champions League. Mikey was giving them so much shit, and they just keep on keeping on. This is going to be a tough one against Barcelona. The other one is the one I'm more interested in, PSG and Aston Villa. I mean, I know PSG basically is sort of they're a juggernaut at the moment. You know, they beat a Liverpool team who obviously is one of the best teams in Europe. They're just hot. Aston Villa, I just somewhere deep in my soul, I think they actually have a chance at this one. I really think that it's not going to be like just it could. PSG could just roll over anybody. I don't know. I think Aston Villa, the way they've been playing, they're certainly not going to be overawed. They're going to be at home in the first leg. Get a result in that. I don't know. I would not put it past. I don't know what the odds are. I'm sure it's pretty long for them to advance or get a result. Period. I don't have it in front of me, but I don't know. It might. Anybody else think that Villa has a shot in this?
No.
I
do.
I do.
Tommy, nerds with me. Love that. For me.
I mean, I hope that they don't have a chance, just because I would rather. I want to lose to the champion.
That's fair.
Selfishly.
it's a petty feeling that I always have myself, so I totally understand that. That should be a good one on Wednesday. Barcelona. I mean, I guess we can't really count Dortmund out since they keep going, but man, this Barcelona team is tough. Now, the ones that really matter on Thursday, Europa League. Yeah. So let's start with United. So they play on the road. I believe they go to France. Nope. Yes. So they are in Lyon on Thursday. I mean, the same thing goes for them as that goes for Tottenham, in that this is everything. This is their season. This is all they have left. They're in whatever 13th or something. We're in 14th, or maybe switch those around. Anyway, this is what they have. I don't think it's the same in the sense that if we lose this, Ange is gone. Like I just can't imagine that we're going to keep him if we lose. If we get bounced, I think if we get bounced, he's probably going to get.
This is the first we're dipping our toe into this pool.
This is not me calling for. I don't think he should. I just think that
we've kind of pushed that any Ange out conversation aside. You 2 or 3 weeks ago, you were very firmly like, no, he sees out. Yeah, but you thought.
It's what I think and what I want. Those are two different things. I thought I was being sort of asked what I would do. I would keep him on. I would keep him on. I would keep Ange on. Like I will say, the last few weeks have changed some things because we've gotten our guys back and we have not been playing better soccer. Like this is when I kept saying, okay, we're going to get our guys back. We're going to start playing better. We're going to look better. We have not looked better. Even this week when we played Southampton and we won 3-1, it didn't feel like a 3-1 win. That first half, we should have had 4 goals. We ended up with 2. Like, there was the not controversy, but there was the talking point of Brendan Johnson wanting to take the penalty at the end, and sort of that overshadowed the fact that we won the game. Also, by the way, the fact you can't batten down the hatches when you're not sending your wingbacks forward in the entire second half, the fact we couldn't lock it down and keep them at 0 is embarrassing and sad, and that's a problem. We're just not good. right now. And I thought we would be better when we got these guys back. I just thought we would be better than what we are and what we've been showing lately. So would I say that I think Ange is probably going to be gone if we don't win, if we don't advance?
Mhm.
That's what I think Levy is going to do. I think I would keep him, but I will say the last few weeks have been different. And, if we keep this trend going where, number one, we get knocked out of the Cup, Europa League, and also we don't look any better than we have been, my opinion might change. I'll just say that.
I want to
So that was my explanation.
quickly address. About 10 minutes ago, I said button down the hatches. I meant batten down the hatches.
It's close. It's close. Button up, batten down, same thing. We come into this game. So we got Manchester United and Lyon. Lyon is, I think they're in 5th place right now in Ligue 1. They're playing well. They're a good team. Tyler, who do you think has a better chance of getting through between United and Tottenham?
Oh man. Would I rather have kidney stones or anal fissures? Is sort of what that question is. I think United. Dare I say they're a mildly more stable football club than you guys are.
Oh, that does hurt. That really does hurt.
I don't say that lightly, and it doesn't bring me joy to say that. But I
would have disagreed with you a few weeks ago. I don't know that I do right now.
And you also were staunchly Angian a few weeks ago too. But anyway,
I'm still Angian, just not
know
staunchly.
The chat doesn't like it when we talk about that, so I'm going to stay with. I'm going to give the people what they want. I think that United are more set up to advance in a cup competition right now, comparatively to Spurs.
Even without a 9,
they have a couple. They're just not good.
They just don't score.
Yeah, even without a 9, Arsenal's the same way. Like they're in Champions. Like I give them a puncher's chance against Real Madrid, and they don't have a fucking number 9. Who says you need a number 9?
I think Spurs are playing a more volatile opponent. I think Lyon is better in their league than Frankfurt is in theirs. But I agree. I think United is set up better to advance.
Frankfurt is tough.
I can see Harry Maguire, second leg, 67th minute, set piece, 1-0. And then I could see Spurs giving up like 9 goals in the first 45 minutes.
Yeah, I wish we just came into this with a little more momentum. Even like a 3-1 win against a historically, legendarily terrible Southampton team felt like it just was nothing. I don't know. Like when my expectations are the lowest, that's kind of when Tottenham tend to step up the most. So I'm hoping that is maybe the case here. But yeah, my expectations and my hopes are not. I just don't feel great about this matchup. Yeah, we'll see. It'll be a big one, an important one in our entire season, and the fate of the club, or at least our coach, rests in the balance, I suspect. So should be interesting. We're healthy. We got that going for us, which is nice. Also, the Conference League, I think Chelsea's still alive in that.
Chelsea play Legia Warsaw. And you got a couple other. You got Real Betis against a club that I cannot pronounce. You have Rapid Vienna against Djurgården, and you've got Fiorentina against Celje.
Oh, yeah, those are pretty good pronunciation there. Mm-hmm. Yes, Rapid Vienna and Djurgården. I think I've tried to say that before. They're a Swedish team. All right, should be a big one. Big midweek action. I'm just going to pray. I'll just pray on it. All right, move on to stoppage time, I believe. Yes, we'll move on to stoppage time. Okay. Where? You know where we're starting. Overtrain, because it's Ivan Toney's best bet time. And this past week, Overtrain was hot. We were cooking. We finished 4-1. I will say a little bit of a mea culpa there. There were 1 or 2 games where the odds of over 2.5 were not great. It was like, minus 200 or minus 250 or something like that. I usually try and pick games where the minus 2.5 line is a little closer. So I gave myself a little bit of an advantage unintentionally on that one. But I will say we went 4-1, so not bad. But the odds could have been better. So this week I kept that in mind, and when I was looking at games, here are your overtrain 5-a-side picks for the week. Again, Wednesday through Sunday, 1 over per day. Starting on Wednesday, I'm going PSG Aston Villa. I do think that game is going to go over, and I would sprinkle in on both teams to score, but that might be a little much. So we'll go PSG Villa on Wednesday. Thursday, we're going to Norway, where the elite Syrian Viking hosting Kristiansund. Friday, we're going to Liga MX, Necaxa hosting Pachuca. Saturday, Ligue 1, France, Monaco hosting Marseille. And finally, A-League on Sunday. Got to go middle of the night, Western Sydney Wanderers hosting Western United, a big out west affair. So there we go. 5-a-side, let's go get rich. Next up, we will go with Mitch. You look like you gave me the side eye, so I figure you're ready to go.
Sure. Both teams to score in these 3 games, all on Saturday. City Palace, Monaco Marseille, Munich Dortmund. Put them all together, plus 320. Nothing crazy. And you know what? If you want to add a little like MLS, both teams to score, I'm sure Tyler could advise you if you want to add to that one. But I've been finding success in 3-leg parlays. 4th leg is where you lose it. So I'm sticking to 3 now.
I actually 100% agree with you there. I've found that sweet spot. 3 is like you can get some nice odds. Mm-hmm. Anytime I go 4 and I get greedy, very gluttonous. That's the good word for it. So the 3 games are City Palace. What were the other 2?
Monaco Marseille and Bayern Munich Borussia Dortmund.
Okay. Like it. Monaco Marseille, I'm with you on that one. Tyler, what do you got for us?
I'm out of state, so my app is finicky right now. Go to Tommy.
Okay. Tommy, what do you got for us on Ivan Toney's best bet?
Yeah, I only talk from the heart on this one, so I'm always ready, and I'm ready to spew some bullshit.
Fuck off, Arc Designs 25.
All right. Arc Designs 25 is going to say Arsenal over. Sorry. Arsenal. Who are they playing? Real Madrid. Over.
It's hard.
You cannot talk that kind of shit and then fumble that.
Arsenal Madrid over?
that can't be a good sign.
I'm betting from the heart on this one.
Okay.
Oh, goodness.
The heart, or that's your brain?
No, my heart.
Straight heart. So you think Arsenal's going to score a bunch of goals on Real? I mean, listen, it's fair. We talked about their defense not being quite.
You guys all fucking know I can't bet, so I don't even care about this section.
That's a good point. That's a fair point. All right, Arsenal over. I was thinking, are you talking like weekend or okay? Real Madrid, Arsenal over. Tyler, what do you got for us? Best bet wise.
I'm going to go draw in both the Arsenal Madrid first leg and the Barcelona Dortmund first leg for plus 1687.
Oh, I like that. I like that a lot.
Wow. Yeah, it's not the worst bet in the world.
No, it's not crazy.
You love draw bets.
I've noticed that because I think that I think that DraftKings or any app for that matter, the odds are too high on draws.
Right. It's just like the under. Nobody wants to take it.
And especially in first legs of quarterfinals, I feel like these are usually stinkers anyway, and teams don't really want to roll the dice.
Okay. Fair enough. And you got good rationale to back it up. All right, we're on to everybody's favorite segment, GOAWs, where we can start with Tommy.
I found this one today. This one's awesome. So in London, I think over the weekend,
you sent me this.
There was an American who boarded a boat, I think on the Thames, that was going around London for touristy stuff on his study abroad trip. He accidentally boarded the boat with 150 Southend United fans that were heading to their National League game at Sutton United. And he rode with the cruise for the rest of the day, went to a game. And in typical UK fashion, if you see these pictures, they just got him pissed drunk and used every sort of like, oh, hey, this is the new American, let's buy him a drink, or let's have a drink for him. And some of the pictures of like the group photos are hilarious. There's like 6 guys that look like typical kind of British guys hitting the game in the pub, and you've got this American guy holding a Magners and a flannel and some Vans from Arizona. And he said, he's like, hey, I'm not a big football fan, but I like it now, and I'm going to head back to another Sutton United game. So it was awesome.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's like the perfect study abroad story that he's going to go home with.
Yeah.
Dude, you're right. He looks like such an American in this picture, too.
Yeah. Let's see. Tyler, you up next?
Can I defer and say, like, there was nothing really that I saw in my MLS trials and tribulations that really tickled my fancy. I didn't really care about Premier League this weekend, and it was just sort of a meh soccer weekend for me. Is that okay?
Okay.
Is there anything
you'll
outside?
yield the floor.
Is there anything outside of the beautiful game that's been on your mind?
Your tree.
Yeah. Your State Farm agent, maybe?
USAA, believe it or not.
Mitchell, who you got?
Yeah, I'm almost positive I'm taking one of Sam's honorable mentions, but it is the Brazilian Football Federation for banning standing on the ball. So you may have seen a popular picture of Memphis Depay doing this recently. It is a very common shithousing move on street cages and occasionally on 11-a-side field. But when Memphis did it the other day, it inspired a little bit of a brawl, a little bit of a bench clearer, and the Brazilian Football Federation's response to that was to ban the move of standing on the ball and award the opposing team a goal kick and the player a yellow card for doing so. And I think that is the most cowardly thing you could do. That's the equivalent of when they told Wilt he couldn't dunk. How are you banning a legal move in the game because of how it makes the other team feel, or because it could it could spark a riot? Like, I think if a team or a fan base is so sensitive to a bit of shithousery that they can't handle the opposition standing on the ball, I don't think you're mature enough to play football. I'm sorry. And to ban a move, I can't think of a worse example of like a federation imposing their will on the laws of the game. And from Brazil, no less. From Brazil. I'm appalled. I'm really upset. The beautiful game lost an angel today.
You lost your dinosaur, so to speak, on Brazilian soccer. I 100% agree. You're right. It was on my GOAWs list. I was going to give it to Memphis Depay for being the game changer, or at least the rule changer for this. Because as you said, and just to add a little context, Corinthians were playing Palmeiras in a state final, which is a big deal in Brazil. And so he did this while they were up near the end of the game. It caused a brawl. It essentially ended the game because, all this people were on the field and all this stuff. This happens enough that there's actually a name for it in Brazil. It's called the paradinha move. Yeah. So the fact they've done this and they've gone and sort of changed the rules, I 100% agree with you. It's just regulatory overreach, like a motherfucker. And basically, this is a thing where players can police themselves. Right? Like if somebody's doing that to you and you're getting pissed off, that means that they're probably winning and you're probably losing.
Right.
So, if you don't want them to do that, then don't let them score.
Yeah.
Very that's
simple.
just, or if you want to take care of it and you want to 2-foot him and he thinks about it again next time, then do that. Yeah, you probably get a red card, but you know what? You got to do what you got to do in the moment. So I 100% agree. It's just completely ridiculous. And of all places to do this, like the emotional heart of soccer, of like creativity and joga bonito, like Brazil to be doing this. If it was like Germany, I'd be like, okay, I kind of get it. But Brazil, I hate it. Hate it. So good call on that one. So that was one of my shout outs. I was also going to give so that will be my honorable mention. My actual GOA has to go to a man who really needs no introduction, dear leader himself, who's probably been a GOA on this program, multiple times at this point. Jose Mourinho and Turkish soccer are the perfect combination for just content, right? Like he goes into like these press conferences and like pretends he's falling asleep because the questions take too long and all that stuff. This latest episode involving Fenerbahce and Jose, and then Galatasaray and Galatasaray's coach. It was after the Turkish Cup game in which Fenerbahce lost 2-1 to Galatasaray. So they were both what's his name? Okan Buruk was shaking hands with the ref. Jose Mourinho was shaking hands with the ref. Buruk must have said something because Jose did a 180, came back around, grabbed the Galatasaray's coach's nose. Like he just grabbed his nose. Hilarious move. The Galatasaray coach acted like he had just been shot in the face by a shotgun at point blank range. Hilarious move on his part. And then, they had the Galatasaray social media going off on Jose and like him being a huge crybaby. It's just the Turkish football situation. Just the Turkish football is just crazy. You add in the fact that Jose Mourinho is just next level content genius, and it's just a recipe for just craziness and incredible content. And again, Jose Mourinho, you get my goal award. I'm sure you're going to be suspended for, I think it was 3 games or whatever. But man, that guy is just never-ending content. I love him. I love him so much. I'm so glad he's not my coach, but I'm so glad he is a coach. And I hope he never stops being coach. All right, there we got Tyler, Tommy, Mitchell. You guys are the best. Mike, you'll be back soon. Everybody in the chat, we love you so much. If you guys aren't in the chat and want to be, get on the Sam's Army Patreon. $3.99 a month. You get Tommy's Talking Tactics blogs. You get the extra bonus episodes, which hopefully we're going to have another one very soon here. And then you get the Discord chat. So get in there. That's all we got. We'll be back next week. Bigger, better, faster, stronger. See you guys then.